Three verses.
I like their organization.
Yeah, we're orchestra. One time, right.
We're just gonna do
Are
three.
you ready? We're ready.
Precious memories, unseen angels sing from somewhere to my soul. How they linger ever near me, and the sacred paths of old. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. Precious Father, loving Mother, slide across the lonely earth, and no home seemed of my childhood. In fond memories of you, precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. In the stillness of the midnight, echoes from the past I hear. Old time singing, gladness springing from that lovely land somewhere. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold.
Well, Lonnie, I may have heard something singing so high. I thought Paul was going to sing high. I asked him if he wanted to sing high, high, or highest, and he didn't know for sure. And so once we figured out what's going on, I had to sing so high I like to hurt something. Oh my goodness. So David, you don't think you're getting your red coat anymore? Well, nothing ever stays the same, does it? No, things always change. You know, sometimes we're the hammer and sometimes we're the nail. You know. The calf goes from the sweet milk of its mama to the sweet grass of the pasture to the slaughterhouse to the family dinner. You know, it's things are always changing. See, when the sun rises on some people, it's setting on the others. You know, so it's just, that's the way it goes. I tell you something I'm kind of amazed at is Anthony Weiner. You know that guy? Took pictures of himself, you know, and put it on the internet. And I'd be too ashamed to ever show my face again in public. And here he is going to run for the mayor of New York City. But I heard today that he's fallen way back into politics. So there is some smart folks up there in New York anyway. Well, Solomon was right when he said there's a season for everything and a time for everything under heaven. He was right. Nobody lives on top of the world all the time. Now, just stay with me now. Nobody lives on top all the time, and nobody's on the bottom all the time. Tonight my sermon's on life cycles. Life cycles. It just kind of rolls around. Sometimes you're on the top, sometimes you're on the bottom. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. I've heard that there's a Jewish saying that goes like this. It says, if the rock hits the pitcher, or the pitcher hits the rock, it's going to be bad for the pitcher. You don't get it, huh? Imagine this was a clay pitcher. Made out of clay. Fragile. And the rock is hard. I don't know something.
I thought you were talking about a baseball pitcher.
Do blessings and trouble come from the same place? Does blessing and trouble come from the same place? That's kind of a hard question, isn't it? And that would take a lot of philosophy to unsort. Do human actions always cause blessings and trouble? Do what we do always cause it? Well, see, I believe that everything that comes into my life comes from the Lord. I'm one of those weird guys. I believe the Lord even sends trouble as well as blessing in my life. Now, He doesn't want to send trouble into my life just to mess with me, because He loves me and He wants me to grow up and be strong in character and maturity in spirit. So I believe He does all those things. But I believe God gives us this stuff as a gift. I believe God is good and He only gives good gifts. But sometimes when a gift comes to your life, it's hard to tell if it's a good gift or a bad gift. You know what I'm saying? The Indian boy, his daddy bought him a pony. And the little boy thought, well, that's a good gift. Well, the pony throwed him and broke his arm. He said, that's a bad thing. We was laying around the camp, the teepee, and he couldn't go to war, so he didn't get killed. That's a good thing. So you don't know what's a good thing, what's a bad thing sometimes. And it's hard to know, so you just have to trust the Lord. Now, I'm pretty sure that building an ark was a lot of work for Noah, but it came a real blessing in the end. And so developing the life of a real Christian is hard, but in the end, it reaches and brings about unlimited blessings. Now also, relationships are hard. Anybody in here notice that? Relationships are hard, they are. But when the heavy lifting's done and you develop a long-term relationship, it can become very rewarding. Sometimes you have to fight through the bad times and struggle through those, you know. But if you hang in there, it can be rewarding at the very end. So as we develop strong moral character, we do so through the ups and the downs of life. Now, we've been studying the book of Genesis. We've been looking at Mr. Joseph. We're in the 40th chapter today. And we're going to follow Joseph a little bit further and watch him. You know, he's been up, he's been down in the well, then he's down in the caravan riders that took him to Egypt. He was down there, and pretty soon he started shooting up. Then he's down again. Then he's going through the cycles of life, and everybody here is going through those cycles. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but most of the time we don't know if it's good or bad. We just know that God is good all the time. All right. So that's where we're going with this. So what can we learn from Joseph's story that we can put in our pockets and take home with us and help us through life? Well, what can we learn from that? Well, I think the first thing we can learn is that everything's temporary. Everything's temporary. There's nothing permanent here. Everything's temporary. I've heard people talking about church workers and pastors especially, and they say we all need to think of our jobs as temporary. We're not permanent. Life changes us, and we think we're going to be somewhere for a decade or longer, but you don't know what God's going to do. Every job is temporary. Your job is temporary. Boy, we found that out in America this last couple of years when the economy went down. Jobs that we thought were going to last forever became gone. Well, everything's temporary. Let's read Genesis chapter 40, verse 1. As time went on, it happened that the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt crossed their master, the king of Egypt. Well, now, if you were going to be the cupbearer for the king of Egypt, or the bread, his chief baker, or his wine steward, and your job was to bring him the best wines and make sure that nobody poisoned him. I mean, you were a really high in the court. I mean, everybody looked up to you. They bragged on you. You know, they wanted to know you. They wanted to be your friend because, man, you're at the top of your game. And they were in envy. Everybody wanted to be like them. Something happened, however, in the court, and something like that always happens, and they got out of favor with the Pharaoh. Something we don't know. The Bible doesn't tell us. But there must be a little intrigue or a little jealousy or something. And somebody said something about them or whatever, but they fell out of favor with the king, and the king put them both in the prison. Well, guess who's running the prison? Anybody remember who's running the prison? Joseph's running the prison. Now remember I told you they put him in prison, pretty soon he's running the place. Well, here we find him there, and Joseph is there with them, and something's about to happen. So let me just, like a little life coaching thing here. Don't get down when times are bad. Don't get down. And don't be overly confident when things are really good. Because you can't get to bragging about that. You think, boy, I'm on top of the world right now. About that time the horse will throw you. So you don't get overly confident. And I believe both good times and bad times are excellent teaching moments. But you know what's the best teaching moment of all, of the two, good or bad? Bad. When you're in a bad situation, that's when you're ready to learn something, and you'll listen better than ever before. But if you're on top, don't bother me now, I'm too busy. I've got it all figured out here. So learn to love people, no matter what situation of life you find them in. Now, as you go through the rest of this week and next week, you're going to be bumping into people. Some of them are going to be down. Some of them are going to be up. And I want you to remember to love them, no matter where they are, because life is so busy and so full of change. Every moment of our life is poised for big change. So just don't sweat the small stuff. Hold on to the shepherd's hand. Hold on to him and let him lead you through the valley or over the mountaintop. Now, number 2, don't get down in bad times. Oh, you knew that's coming. Let's read verse 2. Pharaoh was furious with his 2 officials, the head cupbearer and the head baker, and put them in custody under the captain of the guard, and it was the same jail where Joseph was held. Well, rags to riches, riches to rags. They're down on the bottom now. Remember, God's in control. And when you spend your time looking for God's way of escape, instead of feeling sorry for yourself, listen to me now. I'm preaching to you. If you can spend time looking to the Lord for His way out instead of feeling sorry for yourself. Now I don't have to practice everything I preach. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, but I can preach it anyway. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Watch the Lord getting you out of this situation. It's no accident that these two souls crashed at the feet of Joseph. That wasn't an accident. God was working. And it's no accident where you are tonight. God's working in your life, so just hold on. Remember Samson? Old Samson in the Bible, Old Testament? His blindness, which we thought was a horrible thing, and he did too, set the stage for his greatest victory when he pulled the temple down on his enemies. So, there are no accidents with God. And your current crisis contains the seeds of your greatest victory that's coming. So just look for those things and find what's going on because God's at work. So when you crash, I hope you land at the feet of Joseph, especially at the feet of Jesus too. Now, the next thing I want to say is that God can change people and God can change situations. People can be changed and situations can change. And I mean they can turn on a dime. Let's read verse 4. The captain of the guard assigned Joseph to see to their needs. After they had been in custody for a while, the king's cupbearer and baker, while being held in the jail, both had a dream on the same night, and each dream having its own meaning. In other words, they both had a dream, and it was a dream that wasn't just I think the Bible is trying to tell us it was a message that was being sent to them from their future. Something was going to happen to them, and I believe God let them have this dream, but they didn't understand what it meant. Now, we don't have access to each other's hearts. I can't change your heart. You can't change my heart. I'm the only one that has the buttons that can change for my own heart. So God can get inside and cause us to change. So just remember, God can change things. God sent these dreams to these guys to hope to change them. And see, God may chase people to you with dreams or disappointments for you to tell them things. I'll guarantee you, if you work in a public setting, you're going to run across people all the time that are coming to you and they're saying, "Oh, I feel bad about this," or what does this mean? How am I going to get through this? And what are you going to tell them? You see, you need to tell them that the Lord is in control of all situations. And He's working in the lives of His children to bring about good. Remember old Saul on the road to Damascus? Mean motor scooter on his way to Damascus to kill Christians. And God spoke to him and turned him around. He was changed. Simon Peter was changed after he saw Jesus. Let me say it like this. Never stop praying for somebody. Never give up on somebody. Never nag them. It doesn't do any good to push them, because only God can nudge us effectively. He's the only one. Now, I may want to nudge you, and you may want to nudge me a little bit, but let God do the nudging, because He will do it, and it'll work. So just watch for God to open the doors in your life, and things, and just be a little more optimistic, because things are going to change. Now, let's think about another angle here. We've got these guys, got them in jail now. And as I said, I don't think it was an accident that they landed at the feet of Joseph. I don't think so. I think that was a planned thing from God. I want to call it like this, a divine appointment. They had a divine appointment. Have you ever had a divine appointment? I've had lots of them in my life. I remember one time I was driving around pastoring church, and I was just trying to listen to the Lord and do what He wanted me to do. And I had the strongest impression to go visit this young man in his house. I may have told you this. And when I did, I turned into his driveway, knocked on the door, and he said, "Come in." And I walked in, and he was sitting there right on the couch, looking at the front door, waiting for me. And he said, "I need to be saved." The Lord sent me to that. That was a divine appointment. By the way, that young man and his wife are here every Sunday morning now at the Cowboy Church too. So I believe in divine appointments. Verse 6. When Joseph arrived in the morning, he noticed that they were feeling low. So he asked them, the two officials of Pharaoh who had been thrown into the jail with him, "What's wrong? Why the long faces?" Well, God was at work. And I believe God sets up divine appointments for us every week, every day, and if we're ready for them and see, I don't think things happen as coincidentally as we've been told. I believe God works this stuff out. So be watching for it. Because no matter how bad for old Joseph it was, and he was in jail, but he was willing to reach out and help these two fallen stars. So don't get lost in your misery. God may be right there in the middle of it trying to show you something. When you're consumed with your own misery, you're no help for anybody else. Did you know that? Misery, and I found that out this summer, pain and misery causes you to be selfish. I mean, it'll bring you right in, and you'll be thinking more about you than anybody else. So never allow yourself to get lost in your misery. God may want to use you right in the middle of wherever you are. So just keep on keeping on. Now, then, next thing I want to tell you is, don't keep your faith a secret. Don't try to hide your faith. Because it's important that you share it. People need to know that you love the Lord and that you care about somebody besides yourself. Don't keep your faith a secret. Let's read verse 8. They said, we dream dreams and there's no one to interpret them. Joseph said, don't interpretations come from God? Well, tell me the dreams. Verse 9. First, the head cupbearer told his dream to Joseph. In my dream, there was a vine in front of me, and with 3 branches on it. It budded, blossomed, and the clusters ripened into grapes. I was holding Pharaoh's cup. I took the grapes and squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup and gave the cup to Pharaoh. Joseph said, well, here's the meaning. 3 branches with the 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will get you out of here and put you back on your old work, and you'll be giving Pharaoh his cup just as you used to when you were his cupbearer. Okay. He didn't keep his faith a secret. He said, that dream came from the Lord. That's who sent that to you. And here's what that means. And he told him that everything was going to work out good. So whether it's bad or good, hold on to your faith. We know that often bad news is God trying to change and redeem a situation. He's trying to fix something that we're in. So hang on. The cupbearer had good news, and the baker, he didn't have such good news. We'll talk about him in just a moment. Always the most loving thing you could do for someone is tell them the truth. Now that's hard, isn't it? It's hard to tell somebody the truth. But it's always the most loving thing you can do. So just think that through. Love is not always gushy sentimentalism, flowers and hearts and Cupid arrows. Love sometimes has to be really, really tough. And if you really love somebody, you'll tell them the truth. And friend, who is truth? It's Jesus. Tell them about Him. Let them know that He's in control of their life. And then folks, just rejoice in good times or bad because God's there. Now, when you're on top, remember those who are on the bottom. I used to be a part of an association of pastors, and we'd meet together once a month or something like that. And I noticed that one pastor, he'd had a tremendous Sunday, he'd had a great offering, and he'd had a great crowd, and he'd baptized people, and folks had been saved, and he just stand in the corner crowing, And it seemed like that when everybody had the best Sunday in the world, I always had the worst one. You know what I'm talking about? You got to remember sometimes when you're crowing so loud that you're hurting somebody that hadn't had such a good week. So just don't forget them. I know sometimes it's fun to crow. But sometimes the status quo ain't much to quo about, you know what I'm saying? So remember those that are on the bottom. The cupbearer was on his way up. I wish I was better at sending cards to people. Some of you are so good. Some of you send me encouraging cards and bless me and pick me up and help me and send phone calls, bring me groceries. I wish I was better at that, because we can really help folks sometimes when they're down by just reaching out just a little bit. I'm going to ask you tonight to make a decision right now. Make a decision to be better at helping folks that are down. Would you join me in that? Let's do better. Okay, I'm going to close this now. Here's what you need to know. No matter where you're on top or whether you're on the bottom, you've never been forgotten by God. The Lord knows where you are. He understands your situation. And you need to know that bad stuff happens sometimes to good people. Let's read verse 16. When the head baker saw how well Joseph's interpretation turned out, he spoke up. Well, my dream went like this. I saw 3 wicker baskets on my head. The top basket had assorted pastries from the bakery, and the birds were picking at them from the baskets on my head. Joseph said, this is the interpretation. 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will take off your head, impale you on a post, and the birds will pick your bones clean. Whew, that's a bad message to deliver. And sure enough, on the 3rd day, it was Pharaoh's birthday, and he threw a feast for all his servants, and he set the head cupbearer and the head baker in places of honor in the presence of all of his guests. Then he restored the head cupbearer to his cup-bearing post, and he handed Pharaoh his cup just as before. In verse 22, then he impaled the head of the baker on a post, following Joseph's interpretation exactly. But the head cupbearer, listen, get this, but the head cupbearer never gave Joseph another thought. He forgot all about it. We can do that, can't we? We think, oh, we've got it made. We're healthy today. The doctor didn't tell us anything bad, and we got it made. But folks, not everybody has a good day. Let's remember, look to God, folks. Whether you're on the top or whether you're on the bottom, look to God. Don't give up. Don't despair. Be faithful. Let's pray together.